Ramphosa to come on, and we'll get started with that. Welcome back. President Cyril Ramphosa set to address the nation in South Africa in just a matter of moments, scheduled to take off right now, but of course he's never on time, always a little bit fashionably late. So let's see if he's fashionably late for this, and we'll go from there. Any moment now. Let's see what happens. Waiting for him to come on. Sounds pretty good. Just double checking my sound. Everybody got Vaseline. That's a good one. Oh my goodness. Let's see what people have got to say in the chat here real quick. Let me pull the chat up. Once Cyril goes live, what I'll do, ladies and gentlemen, is I'll reduce my my image on the screen. Oh, here he goes. Here he goes. Sorry.
As I said then, and as I repeat now, never before in the history of our democracy has our country been confronted with such a severe threat, a situation that has demanded an extraordinary response and much sacrifice. It has been an immensely difficult 5 months. And the pandemic has taken a heavy toll on the health of our people, on families and communities, on the public health system, on the economy, and on people's daily, everyday lives. During this difficult period, what all of us have longed for as South Africans, most of all, is to be healthy, restore our livelihoods, and rebuild our economy. I address you this evening amid signs of hope. We are making progress in our fight against COVID-19 on a number of fronts. Over the last 3 weeks, the number of new confirmed cases has dropped from a peak of over 12,000 a day to an average of over the past week of around 5,000 a day. The recovery rate from coronavirus has risen from 48% at the time of my last address to the nation and now stands at an incredible 80%. The cumulative number of cases in our country remains extremely high, though, at 583,653. However, the number of active cases is declining every day and now stands at around 105,000. The virus appears to have peaked in several provinces, including the Western Cape, where it was highest, the Eastern Cape, where it kept rising, and Gauteng, where it was alarmingly going up, and possibly in KwaZulu-Natal as well. Fewer people are presenting with symptoms at our health facilities. We are also finding that fewer people are requiring admission in our hospitals, and the demand for coronavirus tests has dropped. The number of patients hospitalized has decreased from 10,000 at the beginning of the month to around 4,000. This is significantly reducing the pressure on our health facilities. You will recall that we started building field hospitals. Now, many of those field hospitals now have empty bed space. As of today, 11,667 people are confirmed to have died from COVID-19 in South Africa. We continue to mourn each and every one who has passed away, and the many more that we do not yet have any knowledge about. The deaths of so many people in such a short space of time due to a virus such as this is a human tragedy of proportions that we would not have expected to befall our nation at a time of peace and democracy. It is now clear that had we not acted as swiftly and as decisively as we did, and had we not taken the threat as seriously as we did, far more lives would have been lost. It remains our foremost concern in the weeks and months that lie ahead to continue to save lives. When I announced the nationwide lockdown on the 23rd of March, it was to prevent a sudden and uncontrolled surge of infections and to prepare our health system adequately. As we look back at the past 5 months, all indications are that South Africa has reached the peak and moved beyond the inflection point of the curve. Most of our health facilities have proven resilient. They've proven that they are capable and that they are able to withstand and deal with the surge. The modeled projections that were put forward by a number of modelers with regard to infections, hospitalizations, and deaths have had to be adjusted downwards as we have recorded better progress in the management of the disease. The progress we are recording in our management of COVID-19 would not be possible without the dedication and professionalism of our doctors, our nurses, and other health professionals who have had to confront this unprecedented disease, often under extremely difficult conditions. We pay tribute to them, many of whom have been infected in the line of duty, and some who have lost their lives taking care of others in our country. We will forever remember the contribution that they have made and continue to make. None of this would have been possible without all other frontline workers, police women and men, soldiers, traffic officials, as well as the volunteers who have given their time, their energy, and their resources, and who've been at the forefront of our national response. And we also say thank you to them. We also pay tribute to our medical experts in various health institutions, such as the National Health Laboratory Service, the National Institute of Communicable Diseases, Medical Research Council, and the Ministerial Advisory Committee, who continue to play an invaluable role in our management of COVID-19. Ultimately, the progress we've made would not have been possible without the sacrifices made by you, the people of our country. It is you who have readily adapted to the restrictions around mask wearing, social distancing, good hygiene. In the process, you have helped to save lives. But while there are indeed signs of hope, we cannot and must not let our guard down. As we continue to ease restrictions, the risk of infection does not diminish. In fact, the risk of infection becomes even greater as more people return to work, as they move about more and more, and as there are more opportunities for our people to interact with each other. We therefore cannot become complacent or abandon the health precautions that we know we need to take to save our lives as well as the lives of others. Even the slightest lapse in our alertness at this moment could lead to a resurgence in infections at a rate and on a scale far greater than what we have seen so far. We have seen this happen in other countries where stringent restrictions have had to be reimposed at short notice as the rate of infection rises after they have relaxed the earlier restrictions. We need to avoid this. We have concluded that the lower rate of infections we are experiencing should lead to the relaxation of the restrictions we have had thus far. However, now is the time for even greater vigilance and even greater care. We must all continue to wear a cloth mask,
in 2024.
a mask that covers our nose and mouth every time we leave home. We must protect the elderly and those with underlying conditions from exposure to the virus. We must continue to practice social distancing and ensure proper ventilation in closed environments. We must continue to limit our travel only that which is absolutely necessary, to avoid social gatherings, and to remember to regularly wash our hands and to sanitize them. We now know that a large proportion of people who are infected with the virus do not show the symptoms and may not even know that they are infected. I could be infected, as you could. With this in mind, each one of us should consider ourselves as potentially infected with the virus and continue to behave responsibly so that we do not pass it on to others. I know that the last 5 months have been extraordinarily difficult for our nation and for each one of us. For everyone, this disease has meant the disruption of our daily lives. But for millions of people, it has also meant hardship and hunger. It has caused pain, anxiety, and despair that no person should ever have to endure. It has also required a careful balance between saving lives and protecting livelihoods, between a devastating epidemic and a deep recession. It has required difficult choices with far-reaching consequences. While the measures we have taken have resulted in great hardship, we know that the alternative of an uncontrolled surge of infections and a health system unable to cope would have been even more devastating. Now, amidst the signs of hope, we are ready to enter a new phase in our response to the pandemic. Due to the actions that we have taken collectively and individually over the last few months, we have reduced the rate of transmission. We have relieved much of the pressure on our health system, and guided by the advice of our health experts, the Medical Advisory Committee, and after consultation with provincial and local government, Cabinet has decided to place the entire country on alert level 2, with effect from midnight on Monday, the 17th of August 2020. Alert level 2 in terms of our risk-adjusted strategy in dealing with the pandemic means that there is moderate COVID-19 spread of the virus with a relatively high health system readiness. The move to level 2 means that we can remove nearly all of the restrictions on the resumption of economic activity across most industries. Economic activity will be allowed with the necessary and appropriate stringent health protocols and safety precautions in place. Therefore, the following changes will take place with effect from under level 2. All restrictions on interprovincial travel will be lifted. Accommodation, hospitality venues, and tours will be permitted according to approved protocols to ensure social distancing. Restaurants, bars, and taverns will be permitted to operate according to approved protocols as to times of operation and numbers of people. Restrictions on the sale of tobacco will be lifted. The suspension of the sale of alcohol will be lifted subject to certain restrictions. Alcohol will be permitted for on-site consumption in licensed establishments only up to 10 p.m. Liquor outlets will be allowed to sell alcohol for off-site consumption from Monday to Thursday during the hours of 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. only. Restrictions on family and social visits will also be lifted, although everyone is urged to exercise extreme caution and undertake such visits that are absolutely necessary. Infections have been known to take place during family visits, endangering family members, and sometimes leading to the deaths of some of family members. And it is for this reason that we say we should be cautious. Social distancing should be observed, masks should continue to be worn, and special care should also be taken to protect the elderly and people with underlying conditions. Familiarity with each other should not allow us to forget these precautions. As we ease restrictions, it is necessary that some measures remain in place to limit transmission and protect our health capacity. Therefore, current restrictions on international travel will remain in place. No gatherings of more than 50 people will be permitted. Among others, this includes funerals and religious events. Spectators will not be permitted at sporting events. The curfew will remain in place between the hours of 10 p.m. and 4 a.m. We continue to encourage people to stay at home if they can, and if possible, to continue to work from home, especially if they are over the age of 60 or have underlying conditions. In order to keep the remaining restrictions in place and to maintain some of the essential elements of our health response, it is necessary that we extend the national state of disaster once again until the 15th of September 2020. With this new phase of our response, we need to put in place the practices and forms of behavior that we must continue to adopt for some time to come. This virus will remain with us for many months, and I must applaud many South Africans who have changed their way of life to meet this reality. I must also make mention, in particular, of the contribution of traditional leaders and religious leaders of all faiths who have provided a great deal of guidance on how religious and cultural observances can be adjusted during the time of coronavirus. We welcome the role of community structures across the country that are promoting awareness around the disease and mobilizing people to take action to prevent the spread of the virus. These community structures include sporting organizations, political parties. I've seen political party leaders urging various supporters and our people to change their behavior, and we thank them for that. Trade unions have also embarked on massive campaigns to get members and other people to change behavior. We thank them. Even Stockfells, burial societies, a number of them have been at the leading edge of getting their member societies to change. Women's organizations have also been leading the charge. Small business formations, civic organizations, including youth organizations. We're grateful that all these community-based structures have joined the fight against COVID-19. It is through this work that our response to the virus will have its greatest effect. Alongside basic precautions that all of us can take, we're improving public health capacity so that we can better identify, isolate, test, and treat every positive case and trace and quarantine every contact. In the coming days, we will announce a powerful new tool to support our digital contact tracing efforts. In addition to manual contact tracing and the national WhatsApp channel, a mobile application will be used to notify contacts more quickly while preserving their privacy and anonymity. The Minister of Health, acting on behalf of our government, requested the Director General of the World Health Organization, Dr. Tedros Ghebreyesus, to send experts to South Africa to bolster our efforts against the virus. We deeply welcome the support from the WHO, which has brought 43 experts to South Africa to assist our hard-working health professionals to help us fight this epidemic. They are already providing help with regard to various analyses, infection control, incident management, and community engagement. We must continue to minimize the risk of outbreaks in high vulnerability settings, particularly in homes for older people, in mental health facilities, and other institutions. We will also strengthen our efforts to ensure and enforce health and safety measures in the workplace, in retail stores, public transport, to protect workers and commuters, and create a safe environment for businesses to operate. While this crisis has brought us together as a nation, united against a common threat, it has also brought out some of the worst tendencies in our society. We have witnessed the actions of some individuals who have sought to profit through corrupt means from this pandemic. We are taking decisive action to stop this and bring those responsible to book, and we will regularly update the nation on the progress that we are making transparently. We continue to grapple with the pandemic of violence against women. We are proceeding with the work to strengthen the response of the criminal justice system, to provide better support to survivors of gender-based violence and femicide, and most importantly, to intensify all prevention measures. Following the measures we've put in place as part of the 500 billion social economic relief package, we continue to engage with our social partners in business and labor on how to sustain and improve the support being provided to companies, to workers, and to households. The further easing of restrictions presents us with the greatest opportunity since the start of the pandemic to breathe life into our struggling economy. Even as we open up economic activity, it will take a long time for industries and businesses to recover, and there is much work still to be done. On Thursday, I convened all the social partners in NEDLEC, namely government, labor, business, and community-based organizations. We are now working together on an urgent economic recovery program that places the protection and creation of employment at its center, focusing on infrastructure and a number of other sectors of our economy. We'll be making announcements on the outcome of this work in the next few weeks. We will use this moment not only to return South Africa to where it was before, but to transform our country to a more equal, more just, and more dynamic economy. Difficult days still lie ahead. However, we have proven our resilience as a nation over the past 5 months. The task before us now is to apply the same energies with which we have battled this pandemic to the economic recovery effort. We are weathering a long and difficult storm. We are enduring great hardship and suffering that is unbearable. But we continue to stand firm against this onslaught. We have taken action to protect ourselves, our communities, and our country, much as we have lost some amongst us through the virus. A ray of light is visible now on the horizon. Let us continue to exercise the greatest caution and care and remain ever vigilant. Let us continue to stand united in our determination to defeat this virus. Let us press forward, fellow South Africans, as one nation, resolute, hopeful, brave, and courageous. This is the time when we want to say, Morena, ubuluke sichaba sa heso. O si katekisa Afrika zonga. May God bless South Africa and protect her people. I thank you.
Wow, 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 wow. What was that cock? Wow, ladies and gentlemen, let's get you up to speed with Cyril, what he shared with us today. Let's get on to that really quickly. And why am I not hearing my voice on here? What's going on? There it is. There we go. All right, good. Let's get on to it. Let's do a summary here, ladies and gentlemen, about what came out of that conversation with the president of South Africa, one Cyril Ramaphosa, or the Ramaphosa, as many people like to talk about. Here's some of the tidbits of that. Ladies and gentlemen, congratulations, South Africa. You are coming out of lockdown Monday. That's right. Well, not out of lockdown, but down to level 2. And it looks like the government will actually follow their own prescribed restrictions for lockdown. So, shocker of all shockers, ladies and gentlemen, I'll admit that I'm a bit surprised by this. Apparently, the Zuma clan has made enough money off their illicit cigarette trade. So, tobacco is back on the table. Congratulations to South Africa's 11 to 12 million tobacco users. You will be able to purchase tobacco. What I recommend you do is you go out and buy every single pack of cigarettes you can buy, every little pouch of snuff tobacco, whatever it is you use, and stock up, because it's coming back. If you think that this is over and that things are just going to go back to normal, don't count on it. The ANC has found the glory and joy of having absolute total power, and it will exercise that going forwards, folks. It will exercise that. So let's talk about some of the highlights. Okay, first off, level 2 as of Monday in South Africa. Great news. People can travel around again. They can visit family. However, gatherings of over 50 people still forbidden. No spectators at sporting events, so still forbidden. So that looks like we will have Curry Cup resume then in September. So less than a month from now, or about a month from now, we should see Curry Cup back on tap. Good news. They do encourage people to stay at home. That's just good advice. I don't object to that. I do agree with that. That makes all the sense. Makes all the sense. And then what else we have here? Alcohol is back on tap. I did predict that, and it's exactly what I predicted. Limited sales. So you can go to package stores and buy your alcohol Monday through Thursday from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. So if you work, you're screwed. If you have a job, the few people that still have jobs in South Africa, despite this lockdown, you're screwed. You're going to have to pay somebody to stand in the queue to get you some alcohol. Because I guarantee you on Monday, the line that starts at 9 a.m. is going to start long before 9 a.m. and all the booze will be gone before noon, most likely in most package stores. So 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Thursday, you can buy booze. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, surprising news here that restaurants can reopen, bars can reopen, taverns can reopen, but they must stop serving alcohol at 10 p.m. There you go. Well, that just makes sense because they've kept the curfew in place. The curfew is from 10 p.m. to 4 a.m., so that at least is in line. At least they got that straight. At least they didn't say, 11 p.m. and confuse everybody. It's straight. So the curfew is from 10 to 4 a.m. That remains in effect. And the alcohol can be served at restaurants. This should be breathe some life into those restaurants that have been able to survive this outrageous lockdown that's guaranteed nothing as we approach 600,000 South Africans with confirmed cases, and that's the ones we know about, and 11,667 deaths as of the airing of this broadcast from President Cyril Ramaphosa. Wow. Anyway, so yeah, of course, he started out patting himself on the back. We did such a great job. We saved South Africa. Tens of millions of South Africans have not gotten this virus because of our brilliant leadership and great management of this crisis, in which we've done our best to destroy the economy so we can remake it in a state ownership society. This is, of course, what he's talking about with this cock nonsense about transform the economy. How about you transform it by the entire African National Congress's cabinet and the president resigning today? Why don't you all resign? Form a new government, a government of the people, not of the party. That's what South Africa needs. That's what you need, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so on to the other things that came out of this. The alcohol ban is lifted. You can buy it in package stores. You can drink it in restaurants. You can drink it in tourism outlets, if there are any left, ladies and gentlemen. Devold Kutzer said crime is going to skyrocket. There's a good chance of that. Restaurants, bars, taverns, they can have their alcohol, but only till 10 p.m. Gatherings of 50 people or more, that's the minimum or maximum 50 people. No sports gatherings, no spectators, and they're encouraging people to stay at home. So quite a big change. I think the big surprise, ladies and gentlemen, is that we've got smokes. If you smoke cigarettes, if you got them, light up. There you go. You see, folks, when people zoll, and they put the saliva on the paper. That's right. So, folks in South Africa, if you're a tobacco user, congratulations. You'll be able to purchase tobacco once again. It doesn't have to be that dodgy, untaxed, green leaf nonsense that you're getting from illicit tobacco traders. Zimbabwe, yet another hit for your economy, as the illicit trade in tobacco coming from Zimbabwe will now dry up, hopefully, with legal tax revenue generated smoking going on. So there should be a massive surge on Monday in the coffers of the state as revenue pours in from the sale of alcohol, tax and value-added tax on that, and from tobacco products on Monday. The state should see probably, I would imagine, a record day for revenue generated from value-added tax and for sin tax. Should be quite an interesting thing if we have the statistics. Be nice to see if they released it, but I wouldn't hold my breath. So, ladies and gentlemen, 141 to 143 days of house arrest for South Africans. They're now allowed once again to do the same things that convicted felons do in prisons around the world. They can have cigarettes again. Wow, imagine that, folks. Yep, Kilometers Per Hour says people are going to stockpile cigarettes. Absolutely going to stockpile cigarettes. Folks, I would not count on this being the end of this lockdown nonsense. I expect to see the ANC return to some of these conditions and make more restrictions when they overreact and they count on witchcraft rather than science to make their decisions. Their claims that they've made great decisions about this just aren't on the mark. I'm not buying any of it. Gareth says, we got excited last time. I'll be happy when I have cartons of non-BAT fetus smokes. Gotcha. Tian says, crime's already skyrocketed. It has. Farm attacks have been jumping off the roof. Rural security is off the charts. Margarita Koch, good to see you there again. And what am I missing here in the chat? Lots of folks chatting during the stream. What about tourism? Well, tourism, Lynn, folks can go back to tourism. That was basically what he said. So you can stay in accommodation, stay in hotels, but there will be restrictions on this stuff. Reactionary Opinions is here. How's it? Well, it's going crazy. We're watching Ramaphosa tell us what's going on. Jaco Myberg says, that was so cock. Chris 2020. Thank you so much for that. Larsella says, don't be surprised the churches are even speaking out. The ANC is throwing a bone to the dog to keep them happy for a week or two. Yeah. I don't know if it's a week or two, folks, but it's not going to be long. So Marie-Jean says, can I come work in your garden? My garden's a mess, man. You'd have to have some good skills to save it. My raspberries have been very sad this year. Christian Creel says, Several South Africans, I'll ask Comrade Ace to lend us some money. Shelley says, geez, I hate that man. Glad he's gone. Yeah, we got him off. I didn't mean to trigger folks by putting Ramphosa on the stream. Okay, now this one I'm going to butcher, and my apologies in advance, okay? Umpilwe wenlele, umpuelele maktahini. My apologies for that, friend. I got that wrong, I'm sure. ANC is the pandemic. Yeah, they are the virus. They are the virus, their ability. Why didn't you just send a WhatsApp, says Helen. Well, that's a good question. I thought it would never end. Well, fortunately, it wasn't that long, ladies and gentlemen. It was rather short. And there was some good news there. Some really good news for folks. Pierre Rizzo says, I protect its pocket and future survival. Does not even understand the Constitution. No, they don't. They have no concept of the Constitution. Tomb Raider says Zuma was charming. Okay, fine. Sure. Pedophiles are charming too. They manage to get little kids into their vans. Would you like some ice cream? Yeah. Charming doesn't mean effective or just. Yeah, there you go. So let's catch back up on the chat down here. Hut says, hopefully we'll be able to do block watch patrols again. That would be great because it's necessary. It's needed. Lars Salas says the ANC is like a parent that lost respect of its children. People are going to see this as the end of lockdown. No, it's not. Ladies and gentlemen, it's not the end of lockdown. Let me warn you now. It is the 15th of August, 2020. South Africans, I caution you, this is not over. The lockdown is not over. On Monday, get somebody to stand in the queue for you. Make sure they maintain social distance. Give them a safe mask or something to protect themselves with, and let them stand in line for hours to get you some alcohol and you get you some cigarettes. This is not over. They've already played this game before. We've seen this movie. They gave you a taste, then they pulled it back. And they'll overreact once again because the numbers are not going to go down. The numbers are not going to go down. More people will be infected. And of course, what they're not paying attention to is there's a cumulative total, and they're freaking out over the cumulative total. How many people are currently sick? How many more people are getting sick? It's the rate of infection, whether it's going down amongst new cases. That's what matters. That's what matters. So just like HIV, let me explain this, folks. Botswana had an HIV adult infection rate between the age of 15 and 49 of 38%. And Botswana reduced their rate to 16%. People are like, that's impressive, but how come it isn't lower? Well, it isn't lower because you still count all the people who are alive who had HIV. So what happened in Botswana is with the introduction of free antiretrovirals, people were no longer dying in droves like they were before the introduction of antiretrovirals. And so with universal availability, except for refugees, but universal availability for Botswana to have access to antiretrovirals greatly dropped the death rate. And so more people who were HIV positive were surviving. So in the total, let's say there's 100 Botswana and you had 20 that already had HIV, and normally 10 of them would have died in a year. Now 18 of them are living, so you have to keep those 18. You wind up with a higher percentage. The important thing about Botswana is that over the last decade, the number of new cases has been declining in each age cohort, and that's what matters. And the same thing with this virus, folks. People are looking at 500,000. Well, yeah, that's 500,000 people who've contracted this virus who've tested positive for it that we know about. A few 100,000 of them have already recovered. The ANC looks at this, as does the government here in states in America, as if the big total is what matters. It's important from tracking the disease, but it does not matter from a standpoint of assessing the current situation. The ANC will reimpose lockdowns at will, and they don't care about the Constitution. The Constitution is not even a piece of paper to them. And that's obvious from the behavior we've seen the last several months, ladies and gentlemen. The African National Congress's capricious behavior the past several months has been off the charts with the National Coronavirus Command Council. Shall I remind you, ladies and gentlemen, an undemocratic, unelected, unaccountable, capricious body that has imposed regulations and standards on people, turning 250,000 South Africans into criminals. And that's when they stopped reporting it over a month ago. How many more people have been considered criminals now? And how many police will go out and SAPS will go out and SANDF will go out and harass citizens because they're confused about what the standard is when we go to level 2. Yeah. Remember, level 3, you're supposed to have tobacco, but Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma said, no, you can't have tobacco. I'm saying you can't have tobacco. Folks, thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate those coming in. Let me catch who's in the chat here. Had a few super chats earlier. Thank you for the super chats. I appreciate that. Garrett says he's great with raspberries. Tim Mitchell, I missed your stream. It's okay, Tim. Don't worry. Thanks for popping in now. You can catch it from the outset. Dopey Smurth says, support illegal trade will be Rand $10 a packet as the new basic tax is $25. Huh. And meantime, everything's falling apart and they're destroying our water quality. There's a lot of things are being destroyed. Keith says, Chris, if you missed it when you were in South Africa before, paying people to queue in South Africa is a bit like having a queue in the UK. It's the system. No, I know, Keith. That's why I'm mentioning it. That's why I'm mentioning you got to pay somebody to stand in queue for you. It's like, okay, do you want to pay this young chap to watch your car or do you not want to pay him? Well, you're probably better off paying him. 20 Rand out of your pocket, it's a lot better than your car being broken into or stolen. Yeah. And consider it a parking meter fee. So yeah, I'm with you on that one. That's absolutely the case. Yikes. Yikes. Sorry, got distracted by a message that came in. I want to make sure I didn't miss it. So PP, personal pocket, I don't know where Dopey Smith's going with the expropriation. I think it's personal pocket expropriation. I think is what you're trying to say. Let's see what else we got here. New content on Bill Gates vaccine exposed. Don't wait for vaccine. It isn't going to happen. Well, William Woodward said, sorry, I was watching Ronaldo. Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. You're welcome to watch any channel you like. Appreciate you coming to Chris White Africa. I do appreciate the viewers tuning in here. Hopefully you get something worth your time, and those of you who are members worth your membership, and those of you who are able to super chat, you get something valuable for your super chat. CS, yes, Rhodesians will never die. Proud to be one. Another Rhodey. Another Rhodey there. Good to see you there. Variable Vision says, AfriForum is making some announcements as we speak. Tuning into that now. Okay, I'll have to follow up on AfriForum and see what they've got to say, but if it's just court cases... Nothing against AfriForum, but the court cases aren't accomplishing much. It seems as if parts of the judiciary have been captured by the state. Daniel Prinsloo says, howdy to you and your viewers. 13 sheep, 1 horse, 3 Brahmins stolen over the past 4 days. 500,000. When the puck is this going to stop? Wow, Daniel, 13 sheep, a horse, and 3 Brahmins stolen. That's insane. I assume they slaughtered them. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Yikes. Andre Strachan says, Trump kicked out the WHO. Now they're sleeping with Rama. Well, we left supporting the World Health Organization. We threatened to do that. Yep. Yaakov Van der says, Africans cannot govern. Show me just one world black governed African country. Botswana, Mauritius, Namibia, Malawi, Tanzania, even though I have disputes with them, Ghana, Senegal. All good examples of well-run countries. And under the current prime minister in Ethiopia, Abe, Ethiopia, you can throw in that mix. There are plenty out there. There are people who can roll. The problem is too many people allow themselves to be captured and go after things on their own. So there you have it, folks. DeVault says Rand 5. Yeah, Rand instead for the parking. Gus says hello. Hey, Gus, where you been, man? Haven't seen you in a bit. Good to see you back there. Emil Alston, this is not about the virus, it's about plundering the country. It is absolutely. It's the moment that Rahm Emanuel shared during the Obama administration. Don't let a good crisis go to waste. And that's what the African National Congress has done. They've seized the moment. They've used this as an effort to destroy the economy and remake it through state capture and through patronage and through racialized broad-based black economic empowerment. That's what they're seeking to do here. In the meantime, millions of South Africans are suffering. All South Africans, black, white, brown, whatever they may be, they are suffering immensely because of this nonsense. That's what's happening, folks. That is exactly the situation that's happening in South Africa. So, yeah. Anyway, wow. What can I say about it? What can I say about it other than amazing? But let me go through the rundown once again, folks, so you've got it. Just a quick update. Cyril Ramaphosa has spoken. Cyril. Cyril. Okay, I've done the dance. Right, now we've done the dance for him, and let's talk about it. Tumor says, viruses are real. I have one, and it's slowly killing me. I don't know what virus you're talking about. Sorry to hear that, Tomb Raider. But back to what Ramaphosa had to say. So alcohol sales will resume as of Monday, but you can only get alcohol at a package store between Monday and Thursday between the hours of 9 to 5 p.m., ladies and gentlemen. Restaurants, taverns, pubs can serve alcohol once again as accommodation and tourism businesses can go back to work. But that alcohol must cease by 10 p.m. on site. Which works out well because 10 p.m. is when the curfew takes effect. Of course, ladies and gentlemen, if you're in South Africa and you're going to a pub, my recommendation would be that you stop drinking before 10 p.m. because if you get that beer at 9:59, 1 minute later, unless you've swallowed it and magically teleported yourself home, you're in violation of the curfew. Don't violate the curfew. There's no reason for that. The government is busy trying to make criminals of honest, law-abiding citizens anyway, so don't give them any more ammunition. By the way, those folks who were attacked and by security services at the outset of this lockdown, the 250,000 South Africans, their court cases are now appearing on the docket. That's as we predicted in August. And cases are not necessarily being dismissed. So if you think that the fact that the courts declared much of the lockdown to be unconstitutional, if you think that's going to get your case dismissed, don't hold your breath. You might find yourself sitting in the docket, paying a fine, or in jail for the horrific crime of stepping into the yard on your property, or walking on a sidewalk, or stepping off the sidewalk, or not wearing a mask, or whatever it might have been that offended the deep, deep, deep Soviet-style National Coronavirus Command Council's regulations, unlawful, unjust, immoral regulations, which they claim have slowed the curve down. Thank goodness for the ANC, ladies and gentlemen. We have saved the day. We have saved the day in South Africa. Oh, thank goodness. Were it not for the well-informed, science-based leadership of the African National Congress, it would all be a disaster now. It would all be a disaster. I submit to you, ladies and gentlemen, it is a disaster. Millions of people thrown out of work, businesses gone belly up, people starving, kids eating grass in the Eastern Cape. What about tuberculosis? What about HIV? What about the people who couldn't get their treatment, who couldn't get in for their counseling and maintain a proper diet, who are HIV positive? How many of them had a CD4 count now that has spiked and they're sick because of HIV, because they didn't get proper treatment? Field hospitals. By the way, I laughed hysterically when he said field hospitals. That's just comical. As if the South African National Defense Force can put together proper field hospitals in this day and age. Give me a break. Absolutely comical, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely comical. Beyond belief. I'm telling you, it's just astounding to see what's happened. Emil says 6 million jobs lost. I wouldn't be surprised if it was to make 6 million jobs. I don't know the number. The number being thrown about is 3 million, but 6 million sounds more like it. The United States, by the way, folks, because of this nonsense, lost 43 million jobs in about a month. We've gained back over 30 million of those jobs, apparently. So we still have about 11 million people who lost their jobs courtesy of this nonsense, who are hopefully going to go back to work soon. But one thing I was very encouraged by, and I kind of put the sign up, I said, Cyril says we have to protect the vulnerable. Really? Where have you been? How did you miss the party, Cyril Ramaphosa? I've been saying this since February. You protect the vulnerable, people with underlying conditions with immunocompromised systems, things like hypertension, high blood pressure, cardiac disease, type 2 diabetes, HIV, tuberculosis, people who have compromised immune systems. You protect them. You isolate them from the danger, and you protect them. You don't shut down the economy, throw millions of people out of work, have people starving, destroy businesses that people have spent decades, if not centuries, building. We see the oldest pub in South Africa, in Cape Town, been in business for over 20 years, gone out of business. Why? No reason whatsoever. No justification. Absolute lunacy. These people want to control you and I as if we're serfs, as if we're peasants. Don't stand for it, ladies and gentlemen. You're not a peasant. You're only a peasant in your mind if you allow it to happen. Now, I'm not criticizing people who are afraid or terrified of this virus. That's fine. It's your prerogative. You know what? If you're sexually active, you ought to be concerned about STDs, There's nothing wrong with being concerned about the virus, but the hysteria associated with this. Let me run through the numbers, ladies and gentlemen, once again for you, just so you know, for those who aren't aware of it. Let's compare this year. Don't have the current numbers, but we've seen over 750,000 deaths attributed to COVID-19. I say attributed because we know that that's a lot of fraud in there. We saw at least 50%, nearly 50% fraud in the state of New York, where people who were never even tested for COVID-19 were listed as COVID-19 deaths. That's fraud. We saw the death certificate in South Africa for a gentleman who was in a motorcycle accident, and it was not a death. Yeah, and it was attributed, not a death, but went into the hospital and had a motorcycle injury, and it said the cause of the injury was COVID-19. And so this is how they're doing this with reporting COVID-19. It's utter nonsense. So let's pretend it's 750,000 people that have died from this. It's probably more than that, but we don't have actual figures. But let's say it's that. All right, 750,000 people after 10 months of this since it started in China. Last year in 2019, ladies and gentlemen, 620,000 people died from malaria. About 95% of them died in Africa. The world didn't shut down. People didn't wear masks. It doesn't matter because you can't get malaria through the air. But anyway, you get it from mosquito bites. 800,000 people died from suicide last year. Around the planet, 800,000. 900,000 people died last year from HIV/AIDS. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, 900,000 people. Do we wrap everyone up, their private parts, in chastity belts and prevent intercourse? No, we didn't. And last year, more apropos to this topic of COVID-19, also an illness that can be carried airborne from droplets and from aerosolized saliva and things like that, tuberculosis. In 2019, 1.5 million people on this planet died from tuberculosis. The number of people from COVID-19 is less than half that. Now, of course, the dictators will tell us that the reason that it's lower is because of the steps we've taken to prevent it. It's utter nonsense. If they'd simply protected the vulnerable in our society, simply protected those most at risk, and allowed everyone else to go about their business, we would have developed herd immunity from this. Those who are healthy would have gotten it, recovered from it, and if they kept themselves from affecting those who are most vulnerable, then we would have been far better off. But instead, now we have a healthy population running around, many of whom never exposed to this virus after months, and this thing will continue to linger and draw out the length of this. Kind of like King Franklin with the Great Depression in the 1930s, monkeying around with the system, creating nonsense programs, make work programs, running the country into debt, creating all kinds of social programs. That was his goal as a progressive, and burdening our country with an expectation of social programs that shouldn't exist, but stretching out the Great Depression for over a decade when it could have ended in 2 or 3 years. King Franklin. And the same thing is happening now, ladies and gentlemen. In case you don't know it, you don't see it, the African National Congress, the governor of Pennsylvania, the mayor of Seattle, the mayor of Portland, the governor of Oregon, the governor of Washington State, the governor of New York, the mayor of New York City, Bill de Blowhard, all of these people, they are extending this crisis with their foolishness and not shutting things and not doing things appropriately, not protecting the vulnerable and using common sense approaches, which we get from epidemiology, from the field of science and medicine. No. Ask yourself this, ladies and gentlemen. Tuberculosis, for those who don't know, is highly infectious. It's very easy to be infected with tuberculosis when someone has it, active tuberculosis around you. And there's a super chat from Gareth, 14 Rand. Thank you, Gareth. I appreciate that. It's very easy to get tuberculosis, ladies and gentlemen. From someone who has active tuberculosis. They cough on you droplets, you can get it. It's not difficult. 1.5 million people die per year. Yet we've not gone around the world and shut down everything, closed businesses, driven people out, called people heretics if they refused to believe the propaganda being spread. Why is tuberculosis limited to that number? Because it does best in poor hygienic conditions, cramped spaces, overcrowding, that sort of thing. And that's where we see it. So the world has managed to reduce it to a reasonable level. There are also treatments for it, but that doesn't cure tuberculosis. That just treats the current situation. The bacterium doesn't go away. So we've managed to control tuberculosis and keep it to a smaller community, even though it's highly infectious. We could have done the same with COVID-19, but we haven't because we've simply shut the world down. Hysteria, witchcraft, nonsense, non-believing, people who profess to believe in science who have no concept of what science is, running around. Show me the scientist on the National Coronavirus Command Council. The health minister? No thank you. Absolute nonsense. Absolute nonsense. Only 1/3 of people who have TB infection develop TB. That's correct, Lars Solis, but I didn't say active TB. I said you can acquire TB. If you can acquire TB, you can pass it on to somebody. So yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Variable Vision says, I see the U.S. is now escorting PPE donations to South Africa directly to their intended destinations. I don't know about that. Tomb Raider says, ANC also helps poor people where I'm from. They built houses and made electricity available to everyone. No, Tomb Raider. Not going to get with it. No. The African National Congress hasn't done that. The government of South Africa did that, which is run by the ANC. You can take credit for that. But you can't say the ANC built houses for people. The RDP housing is not courtesy of the ANC. It's courtesy of the government of South Africa. Members of parliament from all parties voted for budgets that allow RDP housing to happen. That's not the ANC. Now, the ANC leading the country may be the reason why that happened. That's true. But you're implying to Rhodesians, your commenter, Timur, that the ANC ran around and built houses. They're not Habitat for Humanity. That's not the ANC. No. And in fact, the ANC denied food parcels to minority South Africans. They stole them. They arrested people who tried to take food to minority communities and help them, colored communities, white communities, and made those people criminal and then took the food parcels back, as well as we have endless cases of ANC cadres stealing food parcels. So I appreciate your love of the ANC, although you just said that you didn't like the ANC and the DA, so I'm a little puzzled by that. But no, Tomb Raider, that's not accurate. Not accurate at all. Not accurate at all. The government of South Africa, with taxpayer dollars, built RDP housing, folks. You all are responsible for RDP housing. You all are responsible for the expansion of electrification for the majority of black South Africans who didn't have access to it before the end of apartheid, as well as water and sanitation have been delivered. That has come courtesy of the South African taxpayer, voted on by governments. And yes, the ANC government has been in charge of parliament since the outset in 1994, so they can take credit for that, absolutely. But not the African National Congress as a party. They don't run around as Habitat of Humanity, building houses for people, cleaning up neighborhoods, delivering food parcels. No. They've undermined that sort of activity. They've undermined charitable giving in the country. Absolutely the case. So let's see. Lezan says, TB is horrible. I've seen people cough up hunks. Yeah, it is. Oh. Well, in TB meningitis, well, also Lezan is in the medical profession. In addition, what about co-infection of HIV and TB, which is very common? Rhino Britain just subscribed to the channel. Thank you so much, Rhino, for getting the zombie climbing up the channel there. That's awesome. Yes, Jansa says, amazing how the ANC can only do it when they want votes. Yeah, why don't they do it every day for 26 years? Why is it only around vote time that a lot of these things happen? Yep. Trump number one will be number one in 50 states. I don't know if that's the case, Andre, but I would hope that it is. It'd be awesome to see. The biggest runaway win the Electoral College, ladies and gentlemen, in recent history has been Ronald Reagan in 1984 when Walter Mondale ran against him, and Reagan won 49 of 50 states. The only states that Mondale won was the state of Minnesota's home state and the District of Columbia, which doesn't count. It's not a state. So 49 of 50 states went for Ronald Reagan in 1984. We've not seen that level of Electoral College landslide since then. We did see a massive electoral win last time for Donald Trump, and we're likely to see even larger one, provided that vote theft and harvesting and mail-in ballots don't become the order of the day. Jaco van der Merwe just became a member of the site. Thank you, Jaco, at the recruit team member level. Thank you so much for joining. Jaco, now that you're a member, you'll be able to tune in tomorrow, if you like, for the Members Perks live stream on Sunday at 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, 6 p.m. in Botswana, South Africa, 5 p.m. in Windhoek, Abuja, and London. You'll be able to tune in tomorrow and contribute to the chat. Everybody here can watch that stream tomorrow, but only members will be able to comment in the chat tomorrow because it's a Members Perks stream. So check that out tomorrow. Congratulations. Thank you for joining the team there, Jaco. Appreciate you being part of the community. And also, since your arrival, you've made some nice contributions to chat. Appreciate it. Tomb Raider says, what did he say? Come on now. What is South African government? It's the ANC. Okay, Tomb Raider. Fair point. But back to my point. The budgets that were passed included votes from people from other parties. If every other party had withheld their vote to approve the budget, which authorized those, then we can make the argument that only the ANC was responsible for that housing. But other parties voted for it. So they have to get some of the credit as well. But yeah, we're parsing hairs. We're splitting hairs. I'll give you a break there. But you left the impression answering Rhodesians Never Die as if the ANC is responsible for that. And I want to make it clear that the government of South Africa, and this is the problem. The government of South Africa, ladies and gentlemen, is not more important. Evald Human just subscribed. Well, thank you, Evald Human, for subscribing to the channel. The government of South Africa, ladies and gentlemen, is not more important than the people of South Africa. And this is a serious flaw in your political system. A serious flaw. When the party thinks it's more important than the people, then you have a problem. Then you have a serious problem. And that's the problem we have in South Africa. And it's been existing for a long time. Most observers of South Africa and most South Africans don't recognize as the problem. But the recent court case that said that independent candidates could stand has kind of thrown a shockwave out there. And now people are trying to understand what the impact of that is, myself included, because it doesn't make sense the way the court ruled. I'm all in favor of people not running as party members. But more importantly, I have less difficulty. Ivan von Skalvik has just subscribed. Thank you, Ivan, for subscribing. Appreciate it. Welcome to the channel. We'd love to see the zombie climb in the Mahalisburg. By the way, folks, for those who don't know, if you're new to the channel, and I got a feeling there's some new folks on the channel today, what you see behind you is the Mahalisburg. Let me take myself off the screen here very quickly. You'll still be able to hear me. That is the Mahalisburg, very near to Rustenburg, heading from west, coming from Slotrugens, heading towards Rustenburg, and just before Olifantsnek, the pass up there by Waterfalls Mall. And so that's a picture I took a couple of years ago, my last trip to Gaborone, driving back from Gaborone to Pretoria. Took that photograph. I'd driven that route hundreds of times. I thought I'd snap it. And it's kind of my trademark background. So that's what you have there. We love to see the zombie climb up there. So thank you so much for that. Rudy just upgraded memberships to Platoon Leader. Rudy, thank you so much for that. Buy a donkey. It's awesome. It's a pleasure to have you here on the channel and to upgrade your membership. Appreciate it. Yeah, folks. So for those who are new to the channel, This channel talks about all things Africa, but my live streams tend to have a big focus on South Africa because I have a large South Africa-based audience, plus South African expats from around the world. And if you're wondering who I am, I'm Chris White. I'm a retired U.S. Army colonel. I served 36 and a half years in the U.S. Army, left active service in October of 2019. So, wow, approaching a year. It's a shocker. I know my hair didn't look like this, and I didn't have a beard on active duty. It looked much different back then. I wonder if I still have that photograph here. I think I might have taken it out. Here it is. Let me see if I can bring that up. Okay, so here you go, folks. This is what I looked like back in the day. There you go. Oh, check that out. Check that out. That's me back in the day. There you go, right on top. Yep, that was as a sergeant back in 1987 in Germany, in Bad Kreuznach, where I served in the 8th Infantry Division on the color guard. And I had the distinction and the privilege of carrying the national colors. So 36 and a half years in the U.S. Army. I was an intelligence officer. I've served the National Security Agency, the Defense Intelligence Agency. I also served at the Pentagon, as well as U.S. Africa Command. I served 3 tours in Germany, in Gelnhausen, Bad Kreuznach, Hanau, for 1 tour, and then Stuttgart for my final tour. Served as a private, a sergeant, as a lieutenant, as a captain, and then as a lieutenant colonel in Germany. I served a tour in Italy, in Vicenza, where my focus was on Africa as well. Of course, obligatory tours in the Balkans, the Gulf War, the Iraq conflict, post 9/11 sort of nonsense, peacekeeping, and in Africa, 50 years ago, says Asazil. It's not quite 50 years ago. But also I served in Africa, in Tunisia, Liberia, Botswana, Malawi, Niger, Mauritania, Uganda, and Ethiopia. Served in all this place, either as a security cooperation or security assistance officer or an attaché or senior military advisor. So I worked in all those different places. I was responsible for the rebuilding of the armed forces of Liberia, led the effort to redesign the intelligence infrastructure for the Botswana Defense Force. I worked at the Defense Intelligence Agency, and I wrote reports for the President of the United States, which was pretty cool. The President's Daily Brief, which you may or may not have heard of. It's the primary intelligence product that goes before the President of the United States every day, and I got to do that. So I did some pretty cool stuff. Worked in an acquisition program for the National Security Agency, $3 billion U.S., not Zimbabwean dollars, $3 billion U.S. program at the National Security Agency. So I've worked in Africa on peacekeeping, counterterrorism, respect for civil authority, human rights, Geneva Convention, demining campaigns, as well as HIV programs, tuberculosis, malaria, and Ebola research programs across the continent. Started HIV programs in Niger, started HIV program in Mauritania, rebuilt an HIV program in Botswana, which was a critically important one. Also reinvigorated one in Uganda. So lots of experience in that. Did development, built schools, clinics, hospitals, exercises, all those really cool things, folks. So yeah, it was quite a bit of stuff. I enjoyed it. Great experience. Left active service in October 2019, not because I was tired or out of shape or anything like that, but because there's a maximum amount of service, and I had reached that as an officer at 30 years. Retired as a full colonel, so get that little eagle on my collar. That was pretty cool. That was one of my career goals, and I achieved it. And left and then decided to start a strategic consultancy focused on Africa in an effort to get American businesses to get more involved in Africa, because Africa is the next El Dorado, ladies and gentlemen. I expect that by the year 2050, the next fortunes will be made in Africa, because Africa's consumer class will grow exponentially. Great opportunity for everybody involved. And already other countries like Turkey recognize this. China's there out of necessity, but Turkey's there because they have great strategic vision. Brazil may actually start doing a little bit more, but most of their focus is Lusophone Africa, the Portuguese-speaking parts like Mozambique and Angola, Guinea-Bissau. But the European Union is expanding its ties. The United States businesses are largely sitting on the sidelines, except for Caterpillar and Boeing and organizations like that, big companies like that, Google, Microsoft. The rest are kind of sitting on the sidelines. So I try to encourage U.S. businesses to do business in Africa and also help anyone who has an interest in Africa. So that's kind of what I do. But my strategic consultancy hit a road bump like the rest of the world with COVID-19, and I lost several gigs, which cost me some money. And so once the lockdown started, I decided to take my channel, which you're watching right now, and instead of using it to promote my strategic consultancy, use it to do videos on Africa, strategic topics, and also then I started doing live streams. So that's kind of where we're at. So if you're new to the channel, feel free to become a subscriber. Nothing wrong with that. I appreciate it. Folks who want to subscribe. By the way, if you've enjoyed this stream so far, smash the like button. Come on, give me a like on that. We've had a good audience on here today. Got 200. We're at 180 right now. Thanks for tuning in. Let me get back to the chat and see if I'm addressing everybody's concerns and questions. Yes. Helen says, unless you really need to visit your family at Christmas time, no quarantine will stop you from spreading that TB loving. Yikes. What else? Yes, Feeney Simpson says, yes, the taxpayers pay for it. That's what I'm talking about earlier. And Daniel Prinsley says, do you think Trump will win the upcoming elections? My opinion. Yeah, I do think Trump will win, but I think it's not a done deal. If you'd asked me this question on January 15th, I'd have been like, Trump's going to take 47, or not 47, he's going to take 40 of 50 states in January is what I would have said. And he would have won the popular vote by 3 or 4 million, probably getting 65 to 68 million votes, and he'd win it hands down. It would be a landslide in Electoral College. Now, the subterfuge that's happened since then, the effort to taint Trump with the Wuhan coronavirus, COVID-19, which is not his fault. In fact, he's one of the few international heads of state who actually did something positive to stop it. And what people forget is they blame him for things in the U.S., but we have a federal system, and those public health issues are at the local, state and local level, and that's where the failures have been, by and large. That's not to say there haven't been any failures at the federal government. Dr. Fauci's a gas bag. The guy's clueless, and everyone's running around like he's Yoda. He's not Yoda. The guy has given us so much conflicting information, you wonder how he ever got his doctorate and how he became a medical practitioner. It's absolutely insane. He changes with the wind. He's the Kamala Harris of the medical field. Dr. Fauci. Yes, I think you should wear a mask. No, you shouldn't wear a mask. You can't get it from your pets. You can't get it from your pets. Well, we think this is under control. Oh, it's out of control. Oh, more is coming. No, we got it control. The guy changes his mind more than a teenage girl preparing for the prom. Which dress should I wear? Sorry to slam teenage girls. That was a bad stereotype. You're probably smarter than Dr. Fauci. Yeah, absolutely. Gas bag. That's right, Paul. Gas bag. Yep. I do think Trump will win, but it's going to be a difficult thing. We'll see. Kurt Janssen says, the government is dead on the money not to assist or respect the minorities. I have no other option to support Afro Forum to have our back. Ulrich Grobler, welcome back, Ulrich. Mobile data, XD, telecom is suspended. Yikes. Lions matches. Deval, you going to watch the Lions matches in the Curry Cup? What else we got here? Yeah, so folks, absolutely. So we've seen Ramphosa, and we've got alcohol sales can resume. Restaurants, taverns, and bars can serve alcohol until 10 p.m. That's a huge change. Hopefully some businesses are still in business and they can resuscitate from this. But they'll, of course, have to have sanitary restrictions, so people probably have to sit apart, who knows, open the windows up, face masks, God knows what they're going to do. But at least you'll be able to go back to business. That's good news. Maybe I'll have a pint later today out of sympathy for South Africans, because we can have alcohol here. Martin Luther says, can you comment on your country breaking apart? Sure, Martin. The United States is not breaking apart. The international media and the U.S. media have colluded to give an impression about America as if the country is up in flames and it's out of control. We do have an armed insurrection by terrorist groups like Antifa and Black Lives Matter, a black supremacy group who are out there advocating that people bow in fealty to their narrative, which is false, distorting the facts and misrepresenting what's going on. They care only about one thing, and that is distorting the truth and lying about America. So there is definitely an armed insurrection taking place in major metropolitan areas like Minneapolis, Detroit, Chicago, especially Chicago, Seattle, and Portland, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh. But ladies and gentlemen, just like COVID-19, 80% of this country geographically is largely unaffected by this virus, where almost no cases and people aren't running around dying and dropping like flies or turning up positive. And the same thing when it comes to this chaos. 90% of the country, 95% of the country is largely unaffected by this hysteria and this nonsense. The problem is that the people in charge of the cities and states where this is occurring have abrogated the rule of law. The city of Austin, Texas, the capital of Texas, just defunded their police department by 33%. They took $100 million out of their budget. They've also done away with the 911 system. They're defunding 911. Ladies and gentlemen, 911 is an emergency system for when your house is on fire, someone breaks in your home, someone has a heart attack, or there's a medical emergency at your home, or you see someone who collapses, you call 911. We pay for that through taxes. And those taxes come from telephone bills, both landlines and mobile telephones. So my mobile, at the federal level, I pay a tax for 911 service, and I pay it on my landline. That money, the city of Austin has no right to disband their 911 services because it's being funded by federal and state taxes, but they're disbanding it. So when your house catches on fire in the city of Austin, you're going to have to go to the phone book and look at the telephone number for the fire department and hope that they respond that somebody's on duty. Whereas 911 is a dedicated bank of operators on duty 24 hours a day, 365 days a year to deal with emergencies and crises in your city, your town, in the country. And you can use 911 anywhere in the continental United States. That's right. But they are doing away with it because they're morons. That's what's happening. So, the country falling apart. This country's not falling apart, but the left is gaining ground, and they need to be fought back against. They absolutely need to be fought back against. All of LG says, my mother believes the left is propaganda. Well, it's a shame she does, Olive, because it is propaganda. Bring your mother on the channel and ask me a question, and we can dispute all of this stuff. We can prove it's all. Yeah, Ronaldo says, clubs and restaurants, only 50 people, including staff. Exactly right. Thank you, Ronaldo. That's one point I want to make, and you just reminded me of that. So when they say gatherings of 50 people, you can go to a restaurant, but you can't have more than 50 people, including all the people behind the till, the waiters, the wait staff, the cleaning staff in the back, the security. Everybody counts. So if you've got those people, which might be 15 or 20 people in a normal restaurant, then the most you could have is 30 customers at max. And you're going to have somebody at the door with a little thing counting off. And by the way, we've seen that here in the States where we have people at the door counting off the number of people in the store. Okay, well, we've got 19. We can only have 20 in the store. You're going to have to wait. Okay, you know what? Bye. I'm not going to do business here. I'll take my business elsewhere, take my commerce elsewhere, and I will find what I need from someone else, if you have the option. That isn't always the option. But yeah, so Ronaldo makes a great point there. Olaf says the problem is they can't open till 10, the curfew. Are you saying, Olaf, that pubs can't open until 10 p.m. in South Africa? That's news to me. Who is your white boss, not mine? I don't know what that is. Mark Adams, I'm opposed to doubles down 15 August saying we'll use this moment to transform our economy to more equal, more just, more dynamic. Yeah, in other words, thank you, Mark. That means racism. It means broad-based black economic empowerment, race-based legislation which discriminates against all South Africans. It targets minority South Africans, but it discriminates all South Africans. Ladies and gentlemen, the average minority-owned business in South Africa employs 2/3 of, I say average, not everyone. Some are very different. Some are 2 or 3 employee persons, but firms, on average, minority-owned businesses employ 2/3 of their employees. 66% of employees are black South Africans. So when you deny access to government tenders, when you have big corporations deny subcontracting to their subcontractors out of terror that the government will not let them have their contracts by hiring people who are not BE certified, then what you do is you discriminate against all South Africans, including black South Africans. And how does that help anybody? Racism should never be on the table. 26 years after the end of apartheid, and we see state-sanctioned apartheid. That's right. State-sanctioned racial discrimination is taking place in South Africa, and broad-based economic employment empowerment is part of it. It's part of it, and it has been for a long time. And it's time it's called out by people. Gus says, out of the 20 Americans I work with every day, only one is a Democrat. Yeah, it's interesting you should say that. Let me talk about that very quickly. So, Salmon says, thanks for your coverage this year. Well, it's my pleasure. I'm glad I could do it. And what else we got here? Skulk, we'll come back here. What does Skulk say? Skulk says, how can they allow sale of alcohol drinks till 10, but the curfew from 10 for idiotic logic? Well, I would imagine, Skulk, that they expect people to have to go to the pub before 10 p.m. You know, again, someone was making comment that maybe, I don't know if pubs aren't open before then, but my experience is you could go get a drink before 10 p.m. So, yeah, but obviously they're trying to control the nightlife. The Right Reverend Rawhide says, my daughter's in Liberia right now with the Ebola team. She has some serious something hangover at the moment. I'm not sure where that's going, but sorry about that. I don't understand where you're going with that. Olive says, thanks. You're welcome. Fred Schluiter says, the hardest thing for everyone is the fake news media and the people that believe their lies. Absolutely. People are sheep, man. It's so easy to believe anything. It's so easy to believe anything. James C. says, hello, Chris. Please interview Des Palm from CapeX.org. I don't know Des Palm. I have interviewed on this channel Phil Craig. I'll make a note of that and see if he wants to come on. We've talked to the Cape Independence Advocacy Group with Phil Craig. He was a guest on the program, which is funny, folks, because after that, a Twitter account stole my content, downloaded the first 2 minutes where I'm introducing Phil Craig, and then posted me as some sort of racist who moved to South Africa 16 years ago, and I shouldn't have anything to say. They're actually talking about Phil Craig. He's not a racist, but they were saying that. But my picture's on the screen. I'm talking. He just comes in for the last 5 seconds, and they put it out there. So someone made me aware of that. I went to their Twitter feed and said, okay, if you're going to steal my content, make sure you correctly attribute it. First off, because they claim my channel was an organ of the DA and something AfriForum. I'm like, okay, I have no affiliation with the DA or with AfriForum. I'm not even South African. I'm an American, and I'm reporting on events in South Africa. So get your story straight, get your facts straight. Anyway, I did that in less than, whatever the limited characters are. And it seemed to have, they got the message, hopefully. So it seemed like they got it. Curfew starts at 10, booze sold till 10. At restaurants, house hero. Well, that's what I said, Ronaldo. I said if you were at a restaurant or if you're at a pub, you're going to have to stop drinking at 9:30. Unless you get that beer at 9:59, gulp it down in less than 60 seconds, and can teleport yourself home. Oh, my finger's all sweaty there. There we go. I can't snap. Anyway, yeah, so you're not going to be able to drink. It's ridiculous. Liquor license usually 10 a.m. Thank you, Tunes. That's what I thought. So you'll be able to drink during the day. You're just going to have to change your social behavior, I guess. Proud Neanderthal says, yesterday the Pentagon announced the Navy will have a new task force that will focus on studying UFOs. Did you see that? I did not see that. Interesting that they said that. Thank you for sharing that, Proud Neanderthal. And Skulk says it was announced tonight. What else we got here? Mark says the curfew's 10 p.m. The bar is open until 10. Bar staff will have to get home before the curfew. Exactly. So there's no way that they can be open until 10. They're going to have to leave at 9:30 as well, and hopefully the transport gets them home. Hopefully y'all don't pile in a combi together, just get in there, make sure you got a mask on, cover your face up. Sitting right next to the person in the combi next to you, all 16 of you in a vehicle designed to carry 9 people, the combis. That wasn't mentioned, nothing talking about the use of taxis. He didn't say anything about that, so we'll have to check his press release and see if he just failed to mention that, because it's pretty controversial. What else have we got here? Feeny Simpson says the people in America need to wake up. They got hospital 911 and they want to destroy it. Yeah, it's lunacy. It's absolutely lunacy. The city council of Austin, Texas, is entirely Democratic. Not any political party other than Democrats on that council. So there you go. There are more race laws now than before 1994. I don't know if that's true, Acid, but there certainly are on the books quite a few now. Yako says, I really think at the end of the day, the Civil War is going to break out, and I think it's going to be focused more on tribal factions, African tribe versus African tribe. I'm not sure. Tomb Raider says, funny thing is the BE that people say it's racist don't even benefit black people, only black politically people. Okay, Tomb Raider, you make a point, but let me clarify on your point here. Yes, it benefits politically connected people, absolutely. But it's racist in that it denies people based on their skin color access to government tenders. So that's racist. Just because it only benefits a small number of elite connected cadres in the ANC doesn't mean it's not racist. There's elected or connected elite cadre in the ANC who are white, who are Indian, who are colored. Trevor Manuel is colored. He's in the ANC. I don't know. I wouldn't count him in this group. I'm just making an example of somebody who is. But the point is that it doesn't not mean it's racist. When you make a law, like Zimbabwe's indigenization law, ladies and gentlemen, Zimbabwe famously passed the indigenization law, which they have not rescinded, but they claim now that they're not adhering to, except in the mining sector. Funny how it works that way. But Zimbabwe passed an indigenization law about over a decade ago now, or somewhere like that. And the law said that you must surrender 51% of the equity in your business to a Zimbabwean. Now, that's xenophobic, but that wasn't actually the law. I didn't tell you the whole story. You must surrender 51% of your equity to a black Zimbabwean. That's racist. Why? Because there are mixed race Zimbabweans. There are 5,000 Bushman San Zimbabweans. There are white Zimbabweans. There are a few Indian Zimbabweans. So when you say that only black Zimbabweans can get your equity and you must turn over. So I go to Zimbabwe, I create a factory to can beans, and we can beans, we export them, we make money. I use my capital, I invest it into Zimbabwe, I pay taxes in Zimbabwe, I employ Zimbabweans, and then they pass a law that says because I'm white, I must turn over 51% of my equity, my capital, my investment to some black Zimbabwean just on the basis of the color of skin. That's racism. Ladies and gentlemen, this continues elsewhere. Liberia, in their constitution, says that only black Africans can own land. Can you imagine that? And they've gotten away. No one's ever challenged Liberia for the racist constitution. You never hear anything about it. You never hear it, probably because people don't want to go to Liberia. I've lived in Liberia, but no one ever challenges Liberia the fact they have a racist constitution. How can such laws exist? They're just wrong. No different than apartheid. The whole time apartheid was happening, nobody was castigating Liberia because of its racist legislation. And before people say, oh, no, hang on. I'm not talking about me or other white folks. Lebanese living in, and Indians living in Liberia, and there's a significant community of them, can't own land. So they had to play these games for decades in which they buy land and they register the name of a Liberian whom they trust and hope that they don't defraud them and steal it. And then they build their hotel or their business on top of it, which can be taken in a moment's notice from them because they have no land tenure. That's just bigotry and racism. That's racism. It's out and out racism. And that's the case with BE. It's a racist law. And it's shameful. You know, just like affirmative action is a racist law in this country. When you give people preferential status based on their color of their skin, that's nonsense. And you can't play this historical. If you want to fix things historically, you fix education in South Africa. You fix opportunity. That's how you do it. But denying people access to the marketplace or causing their businesses to go under because you deny them that based on the color of their skin, it's really sad. Really sad. Let's see what else. Brazo Planet Q. That's a cool name. I guess you're from Brazil. Democrats are offended by anything but ashamed of nothing. Oh, that's a good line, man. I'm going to have to save that, Brazzaville. I don't know if you got that on your own or I'll have to give you credit for it. I've copied down who said it, so I'm going to have to use that. I like that one. Yep, that's a good line. Thank you so much for that. Where's Ronaldo being negative? I haven't seen Ronaldo comment. I haven't seen Ronaldo comment in several minutes. Someone's saying Ronaldo's being negative. The last time I saw Ronaldo comment was 3:07, and somebody's coming in saying, don't be negative. That was a long time ago. Yeah, catch back up here. So Yako says, your content's always welcome in South Africa, uncensored. Always nice to hear an outsider's opinion on South African affairs. Well, thank you, Yako. It's my pleasure. Do appreciate it. Thank you very much. I try. Gerhard Peza says 50 people in a building is a total lie. For the last month, Macro, Checkers, Pick and Pay, Spar, and Nelspert almost never. Yeah, no, I'm with you. They're not enforcing it. They'll selectively enforce it when they want to go after people that they consider targets of the government. Manas Holmes says passport application in South Africa is closed. Wonder why international travel is still. You mistyped something there. I can't follow it. Tomb Raider tells Janssen he doesn't like off reform at all. That's fine, Tomb Raider. You don't have to like off reform. It has its own hidden political agendas, which I personally despise and find distasteful. You came on here and intimated that before Tomb Raider, but you've never explicitly said what their political agendas are. And how do you know what their hidden political agendas are if you're not part of them? How could you possibly know? Do you have secret access? Hey, Kat, welcome back. Haven't seen you in a while. Playing capitalism into African economy is questionable. Yeah, proud Neanderthal. If the limit's 50 some taxi is going to run a loss. Gotcha. And then Tumor says, I get your point. Part of Truth and Reconciliation was to create policies which gave previously. No, that's not the Truth and Reconciliation. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Okay, I thought you said Truth and Reconciliation Commission. You're saying Truth and Reconciliation. Tomb Raider, I got your point. But how long does this continue? And if you want to fix this, the way that you do this is you pour resources into places where people were disadvantaged in the past. You pour resources in. You don't give tenders to fictional black economic empowerment companies who are corrupt and non-existent to deliver textbooks to the Eastern Cape and then no textbooks show up. The state of South African education is abysmal. The ANC should be ashamed of itself. The ANC had all the tools at its disposal. It had a minister of finance who fixed the income coming into the treasury, who increased the tax rolls, who got better tax compliance from South Africans who willingly paid their taxes. They didn't even have to chase after it. The tax rolls grew exponentially earlier under Trevor Manuel, before Zuma stepped in during the Mbeki years. And I'm not a fan of Thabo Mbeki. He's a person with a serious inferiority complex, and he's a bigot. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if he's got racial views, but he's clearly a bigot. But and his bigotry against donations of antiretrovirals to help prevent the transmission of mother-to-child HIV was just really disgraceful what happened. But anyway, but during that time frame, economically, South Africa's tax rolls were fixed. They were improved. More people paid taxes rolls into it. The economy grew to some degree. Not fast enough, but it did grow. Yeah. So that was a time when money should have been poured into education. But no. Instead of fixing schools, they chased qualified teachers out of school. Why? Because they were white. So, for instance, a lady I know in Stellenbosch who taught for years in primary school, was a qualified teacher, taught black and colored and white students. She was forced out of her job, made to feel unwelcome under the new dispensation in the late 1990s, and forced into a voluntary separation package, which she took and turned into a tourism shop, which made more money for her than teaching. But she was no longer teaching as a qualified teacher because the ANC, it hurt their feelings. They were butthurt. They were bum hurt that a white South African would be teaching black and colored children. Well, she was a qualified teacher and capable of doing her job. And you replace them, people like that, with people who are unqualified, who don't have education, whose primary purpose seems to be to molest prepubescent and pubescent girls so that they get marks. in KwaZulu-Natal and places like that. We all know that. It's no secret, folks. It's not. Someone just subscribed. Thank you for the subscription. I think it was Arno. It's no secret that if you want to get a passing grade in many schools in the Eastern Cape and certainly in KwaZulu-Natal, and it's also elsewhere, that in order for a girl to get a grade, she's expected to have sex with her teacher. Yeah, we know this. And we also know that at one point a decade ago, 75% of the male teachers in KwaZulu-Natal were HIV positive, ladies and gentlemen. How does that affect the mental and the physical health and well-being of school learners when they're expected to have sex to get their grades? Disgraceful. So instead of fixing education, they've broken it. And they've, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, I'll be making a video, and my video is Ramphosa surrenders. Because today, Cyril Ramaphosa and the ANC surrendered. The NCCC, they at least temporarily surrendered, or they declared a ceasefire against South Africans. They've backed off their war because they've been exposed for what they've done to South Africa, to businesses, to South Africans, to starving people, arresting people with charitable donations, stealing charitable donations, preventing businesses from doing business, bans on things like e-commerce. You can't have an open-toed shoe. Unbelievable nonsense. They've exposed themselves. So the ANC, the NCC, and Cyril Ramaphosa have declared a ceasefire today. Yeah, they didn't surrender. They declared a ceasefire. That's absolutely what's happened. And it's a ceasefire. So they can break that ceasefire at any time. It's kind of like Korea, North Korea and South Korea in the United Nations. It's a ceasefire. The war never ended in 1953. It's a stalemate, so they declared a ceasefire. So we have a ceasefire. It is definitely economic war, Paul. That is the case. And they want to undermine and destroy it. And it includes a lot of different aspects. Andre Jacob says, it seems to me that black countries are more racist than any other country in the world. South Africa, Zimbabwe, and Liberia are good examples. Well, those three are good examples, but I'll tell you that's not the case in Botswana. Not the case at all. And I don't think it's the case in Namibia. There's certainly effort about expropriation of land, but that's with compensation, so I don't really think that's the case. Olive saying Ronaldo's always negative. Well, I try not to be negative, but a lot of the news coming out of South Africa is negative, folks. But Gerhard Pez has just subscribed. Well, thank you for subscribing to the channel, folks. If you're not a subscriber, folks, hey, take a second to become a subscriber to Chris Wyatt Africa. I'd love to have you as a subscriber. It would be really awesome to have folks on here as subscribers. I appreciate it. Our channel has been growing quite a bit. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, I started this channel with prepared videos back in February 17th. I think I did the first prepared video focusing on Africa. And I couldn't do those when I was a serving officer because you really can't just speak your mind when you're part of the system. And so I had to wait till I was retired to do things like that. But February 17th, I had 2 subscribers. 2 subscribers, ladies and gentlemen. And then I started doing prepared videos. It was a little slow going, and we picked up some. I appeared on Ronaldo's channel when I called in one day, and people were like, ooh, who's this oak? And so they mentioned my channel, and a number of people came over. We climbed up to about 187 subscribers. Then we had Giselle on the channel for her music, which was fantastic, by the way. And then for the debut of her album, Fitland's Mensa. And so we had Giselle on here, and the number of subscribers grew a little bit more. Anyway, then I started live streaming in April, and it started picking up. And now we have over 7,000 subscribers. Thank you all very much. Quelle bois. Bye, donkey. Vielen Dank. Merci mille fois. Really appreciate it. Yep. So that's pretty awesome. We've been growing by leaps and bounds. Membership, people almost begged me to make memberships on the channel, and I happily did that, folks. So I created memberships on the channel now it's 2 months ago now. It was June 15th, I think it was, when we started that. So we started with memberships on the channel. We have over 100 members. You can become a member. By the way, it's not about generating revenue, folks. The membership, the super chats, that's great. If people want to super chat, appreciate the funds to support the channel. Helps with the equipment for the studio and things like that. But the memberships really isn't about the money, because trust me, the entry level price if you're in South Africa is very low. So I set the entry membership level at $1.99 US, which is charged as 10 Rand in South Africa, 9 Rand 99 per month. Become a member. Oh, FA just became a member. Look at that. That'll come up on the screen in a moment. So you can become a member of the channel, and you get some benefits of it beyond this. But the real part about it is that you contribute to the channel and you're part of a group. By the way, for those who become members today, just to let you know of Chris Wyatt Africa, if you become a member, and there it is, FA has become a member. We got the zombie trucking across the Mahalisburg right there. If you become a member and you would like to be part of the WhatsApp, the Chris Wyatt members WhatsApp group, you're welcome to do that. But I don't automatically put anybody in there. You have to send me an email. Go to the About tab, find my email address under the description, click on that, reveal my email address, send me an email in which you send me your mobile number, and also whatever username. It's like FA, I don't know what your name is. So if you send me an email, you're going to have to say what your name is and that you are FA on YouTube if you want to be in the WhatsApp group. Send me your mobile number asking to be part of it. The reason I do that is protect people's privacy, because I'm not going to just automatically put somebody in the group because some people like to protect their phone numbers. When you're in the group, other people in the group can see your mobile number. So if you want to be a member of the WhatsApp group and you're a paid member of the channel, then send me an email and request it, and I'll get you in there, folks. But yeah, thank you guys so much. Really appreciate the support for this channel. It's been fantastic. I really enjoy working with everybody here and providing different views on everything from outside South Africa. It's interesting. I get attacked because who are you? What do you know about South Africa? Well, I venture to say I know more about South Africa than most South Africans. I'm not boasting. Those who watch my channel, just ask them. Ask me about something in South Africa. I probably know a fair amount about it. But I also have a great deal of Africa experience, and the channel is not simply about South Africa. It's also about Africa. Videos on Liberia, Uganda, on Nigeria, on take your pick, Zimbabwe. Lots of videos in Zimbabwe, even on Namibia. So I do a lot of coverage on the channel. Manus Holmes says borders are closed, international travel is not allowed, but that's no reason to stop passport. Exactly right, Manus, because people have expiring passports, and new people need passports so that when they can go to university abroad, they can get out the door just like that. Oh, now the snap is working. There you go. Apartheid laws do not cover the whole country where BE does. I guess you're saying that, Andre, because of the Bantustans, it didn't apply. Yanni's here. Leaders are born leaders and managers, educated managers. Do you agree? Mostly, Yanni. I think you can develop a leader. It's possible to develop a leader by training him. And I've seen it in the military. We've taken people who lack leadership skills but had potential, and we develop leaders out of them. But some people are just natural born leaders. They just have the ability to influence other people to do things. And that's what leadership is about. If you can convince people to do things. You can be a manager if someone gives you the authority to do something. You can tell people to do things. That doesn't make you a leader. And you can organize events. That doesn't make you a leader. A leader inspires people, encourages people. Now, you can also lead through fear, but that's not a very effective mechanism. Yep. So there you go. Yeah. Francois Lagrange has just coined a great one here. This is brilliant, Francois. If you're not a member, please become a member of the subscriber. No broad base. BE should be spelled LBCEE. Limited Black Cadre Economic Empowerment. That is brilliant. I've been trying to think of a better way to call it that. There you go. I'm going to steal that one from you, Francois. See, I have to come back on the channel just to hear me use it. Anyway, that's hilarious. I love that one. Exactly right. It's the elites who get the stuff. The Right Reverend Rawhide's out of here. Get some rest, Right Reverend Rawhide. For folks who don't know, Right Reverend Rawhide is a dedicated follower of the channel. He had a stroke last week, 8 o'clock in the morning, and later that afternoon for the Night Owl Straight Voltage edition, he was on the channel watching the stream, ladies and gentlemen, from his hospital bed. You got to respect that. That's pretty awesome. Let's see what catch up here. Yako Fundameva says, congrats on hitting 7,000. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Let's get to 10,000 because people keep asking about merchandise, and I haven't offered any merchandise because I can't do it on YouTube till I get to 10,000. Anyway, kilograms per hour, harming children, elderly, vulnerable, and animals is unforgivable, makes me very angry. I agree with you. I agree with you. Lone Wolf says, ons moet vir jou leer Afrikaans praat. Okay, why are we going to... Jans, okay, how many members are there now? On the channel, we have 7,050, I think, 7,047. If you can say Bry, Borvos, and Cook's sister, you can speak Afrikaans. Dafatai. I don't seem to be in the WhatsApp group. Shirley, did you send me an email asking for that? I know you sent me emails about something else. So send me that email asking it, and I'll put you in there. I think I have your mobile number. I know I have your mobile number because you're on there, but just send me an email, Shirley, and then I'll put you in there later on, okay? Cool beans. Again, I don't do it unless people ask. And if you ask, Shirley, and I missed it, my apologies. It's possible I missed it. Okay, Tomb Raider. I'm not going to pick on you, but you're using moral equivalency, okay? Moral equivalency. Let me point something out here, okay? Tomb Raider says, Rudy, don't just look at the current government for the way education is. Bantu education was a system designed by apartheid, and ANC is just taking it where apartheid left off. No, education has gone backwards since the Bantu education system. At the Bantu education system, we didn't expect black South Africans to score 30 on their matric to pass. We expect them to score the normal standard. And that's what happened back then. Now, the quality of education was poor for most black South Africans, but some of them did get through the system and managed to find other opportunities in life. So no, they didn't just inherit a system. They've made the system worse, demonstrably worse. And they made it worse for everybody. Everybody. They've distorted history. They've changed history. They're lying about it. They should be ashamed of themselves. And in 26 years, you can fix education. If we can start a charter school here in the United States, and within 2 years it meets standards and meets accreditation, then that can be done in South Africa. It can absolutely be done. But it hasn't been done. Why? Because it benefits the ANC to have stupid, illiterate, uneducated people who are easily led by sheep by the nose around the country and told what to believe. And it's not just the ANC, ladies and gentlemen. It's school boards here in the United States, the same sort of thing. Leftists controlling school boards, misleading Americans and teaching the wrong things. You see people actually believe that socialism is a good concept, that communism has actually worked. It's never worked anywhere. It doesn't work. It's nonsense. It's ephemeral. Karen says, what's the chance if NDZ is overriding Ramphosa unbanning cigarettes? Yeah, you know what, Karen? That's why I said go buy your cigarettes, because I don't expect it to last long. Once they take a hit to the illegal cigarette market and they stop seeing that revenue come in the way it was coming in, the cigarettes are going to get banned again. You watch. You watch. Yep. Tuberculosis says, talking Lazan says, I'm from the village and I can tell you that village people don't have internet access to those bursaries you're referring to. Neither they have resources to allow them to have access. Why is that? Why is it in rural Wyoming we have community-based internet, which has been provided through the local tax base, because they couldn't get cable companies to do it? We can manage that in Wyoming, which is thinly populated, but we can't manage that in South Africa, where it's densely populated. Who do we blame for that? Governance. At the national level, at the provincial level, at the local level. And the villages you're talking about, by and large, almost entirely are run by the African National Congress around South Africa, Tomb Raider. But I know you're not a big fan of the ANC, neither am I. But just the fact that they haven't done it doesn't mean we should let them off the hook. We should be pushing them to do better, folks. We should be pushing them to do better. Smack that zombie. I like that. I like that. And what else we got here? Merch like M4s. Yeah, Gareth is asking him to sell weapons. No weapons will be sold on YouTube, ladies and gentlemen. My stepfather was an arms dealer, a gun dealer. I've never done that. I haven't, in fact, I don't really have guns anymore. Tomb Raider says, Lazan, do me a favor and go check the big 5 law firms in South Africa. Name me one that has an employee who's acquired a degree from a rural university. Thus discriminations exist. Tomb Raider, you can't equate the two. I get your point. You can't say that the fact that somebody has a rural university is why they don't have a degree. The prestige, the standards are not the same. I mean, here in the United States, people with Ivy League degrees walk into businesses, and you graduate from the Wharton Business School, whether you learn something or not, you're going to walk into a 6-figure job like that overnight. As simple as that. And that's not discrimination. What do you mean discrimination? It's not. If I'm wrong, tell me, Tomb Raider. But it seems to be you're implying that rural universities are discriminated against because their students are black. If I've misinterpreted, I'll apologize. But I get that impression. I infer from what you're saying that's what it is. Rural universities, you're not getting graduates from universities because their graduates are black. And that's why I don't get jobs. But black graduates from the top universities like Stellenbosch and UCT and Rhodes and University of Pretoria and Unisaw, they get jobs in these firms. So anyway, I don't want to misunderstand you there, because today, Tomb Raider, you're not playing games today. You're asking real good questions today, and I appreciate that. Rolf says in South Africa, we always blame the white man. Well, it's everywhere. Be a white Anglo-Saxon Protestant male and see if you don't get blamed for something in this world. Kermit's not going to give the revenue to the government. Okay, well, I get your point there. You would prefer to be a criminal. That's your business. Tomb Raider says he agrees with me that the ANC made the education system. My point is they inherited a system. Yeah, no. Okay, Tomb Raider, we agree on that. They did. But I'm telling you, my friend, 26 years, I can fix this. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we've already discussed it. Jeremy Nell from Germ Warfare talks about. By the way, I'll go to 2 hours today, folks. I'll go to 2 hours, and I'm going to knock off. The reason I've run over is because this is my normal stream time, and I would just be starting right now. So I'm going to go to 2 hours in case people are tuning in. For those just tuning in now who's normally catching the Night Owls edition of Stray Voltage, you've come in late. Welcome to the stream. But what happened was that when Ramphosa was on earlier, I did a live stream, and I've been on since he went off. So I've been on for about an hour since he went off the air. And I'm going to go till 1600 my time here, 2200 in South Africa. So I'll keep people on here until then. So I don't want you to think that you're getting shortchanged on the Night Owls edition. For the new folks who are watching, and some of whom have become subscribers, thank you so much for that. Even 1 or 2 became members. Thank you for that. But so back to what Tomb Raider is saying. Yeah, neither one of us are justifying the ANC, but I'm telling you, my friend, this can be fixed. It can be fixed. It's neglect. They don't care. They built RDP housing. They put their mind to that. They expanded the electrical grid. They put their mind to that. They've repaired roads. Now, a lot of people complain about the infrastructure in South Africa, but I've seen South African government building roads. Maybe not at the pace they need to, but it's not like there have been no roads built since the 1990s. It has happened. So they can do things. They managed to steal money from the arms deal. They spent $7.1 billion US buying weapons that they didn't need. Gripen fighters, Hawk lead-in fighter trainers, Type 209 diesel-powered submarines, which sit in Simonstown and never go to sea. 3 corvettes, which they bought from the Germans, which never go to sea. They can't man them. Instead of fixing the barracks for the military, instead of buying trucks for the Army, instead of buying new armored personnel carriers for the Army, instead of training the Army, instead of providing the proper support to the South African medical health services, they didn't do any of that. They put the money into the Air Force and the Navy and bought things that the South African military did not need. None of those things have contributed to peacekeeping, which has been the primary mission of the SANDF since the end of apartheid. That's been its primary mission. It's been involved in peacekeeping and also monitoring the border with Zimbabwe, patrolling the border. At any given time, ladies and gentlemen, for those who don't know, as many as 7 South African infantry companies patrol the borders between Swaziland, Mozambique, and Zimbabwe. You know, they don't patrol with Botswana. There's no problems there. But with those other countries, they have challenges, so they patrol. They're always out there, any given time. Little known fact, I think a lot of people don't know that. But yeah, we can fix that. Shane says, can't stay for the live stream, but I'll give you a like. Well, thanks for popping in, Shane, but you've been here for a bit. No, I'm just going to go a bit longer. So feel free to, but thank you for the like. How are we doing likes? 197 likes. Can we get that to 200, folks? We got 136 people watching the stream right now. We had like 1,300 people tune in during the course of the stream. Wow. Got 197. And of course, my favorite troll, whoever that is put the dislike on it. Thanks for the dislike. You know, living rent-free in your mind is such a pleasure. I really enjoy it. Appreciate the 199. We're almost there at 200. Oh, Gareth says the network went down. Shame. Tomb Raider, not necessarily because you are black. They exclude them because they merely have degrees received from rural universities judging. Oh, okay. Got you, Tomb Raider. Fair enough. That's why I want to make sure I didn't misrepresent what you said. But Tomb Raider, that happens here as well. People look on your degree different ways. Now, smart employers, that's not something that affects their judgment. They value the candidate. But what I will tell you is if you have a degree from Columbia Law School, you have a degree from Harvard Law, you're going to get your foot in the door much quicker than if you have a degree from University of Pennsylvania, Penn State, or from University of Virginia or something like that. That's just the way things are. And that discrimination has always been there. But if you're a candidate, and you can sell yourself and you can represent yourself. I mean, I don't have any Ivy League degrees, yet I've been in demand by lots of big organizations to speak for them, to perform for them, to teach for them. I just got another request this week to teach somewhere else. I'm going to do that in September. So, but I have no exclusive degrees. I have degrees from a bunch of different schools. I have 3 master's degrees, a bachelor's degree, an associate degree. None of them are from Ivy League schools. It's based on my performance, my reputation. So I get your point, but that discrimination is not South African. That's everywhere. If you have a degree from Oxford, you're going to get more attention than if you have a degree from Hallam University in Sheffield. It's not quite the same level of prestige, and that's why people want to get into those schools. That's just the way it is. Larsola says he thinks the troll is my loyalist subscriber. I think perhaps it might be the case. Sasha Markovich has just subscribed. Well, thank you, Sasa, not Sasha. Sasa Markovich, thank you for subscribing to the channel. Really appreciate that. The Brew is in the house. Where have you been, The Brew? We have not seen you for a while. Welcome. And Martin Luther's here. Martin Luther. Wow, look at that. Have you been tacking up your treatise on the Wittenberg Kirche? He was sweating and very nervous. He knows what's coming. Yeah, no. A lot of South Africans are angry. They're hot full of this nonsense, folks. A lot of people are truly, truly hot full. And it's from all walks of life, ladies and gentlemen. It's South Africans of all races, creeds, and colors who are angry at the government. So they've eased off of this. As we mentioned earlier, I've mentioned a few times now. Oh, we've hit it. Oh, we got another dislike. Thanks for the dislike. Seriously. Anyway, it's funny because in order to have a dislike, you've got to at least go to the page and click on it. It doesn't mean you watch it, but you have to go and click on it. So it takes positive energy on your part to make it happen. So thanks for that positive energy. Oh, here we go. So Tomb Raider says the law degree that received from the university in Venda is no different from a degree from someone who got it from WITS. Lawyers write national exam and rural people do pass. Well, I don't know if I agree with that, Tomb Raider. I can tell you that some universities have attracted top talent from people in their fields, and because of reputation, they get them in, and because of endowments, here in the U.S. I'm speaking, because endowments, they have more in the way of resources. So people can get a better quality education at one university over another. And sometimes reputation is deserved. The University of Wharton Business School is University of Penn. Pennsylvania at the Wharton Business School. That degree, that's where Donald Trump got his master's in business administration. That MBA is the gold standard. You cannot graduate from a Wharton Business School and walk out of there and not get a really well-paid job. People walk out of there and they start at $250,000 or more per year, no matter where they work at, because of the prestige of that degree. And it's warranted. In the case of Warren, it's warranted. So I get your point about the Vendy University. Jeff says, in South Africa, if you have a degree, you'll still end up getting a job with subpar pay and you're overqualified. It's difficult to get employed, in my opinion, start a business. Yes, Jeff, but you have challenges in business when it comes to business. A lot of things that the government puts in the way to make it difficult for people to do business. But your point is well taken. Karen says, it doesn't matter really what Ramphosa says. It's NDC that has the final say until the state disaster is over. Don't count on anything now. I agree with you. And they're ruling by decree, not by merit. So there you go. Larsala says the final law exam is set by the bar. They write the same test, but some get more benefit out of their education. That's exactly what I just said, Larsalis. This is basically it. So I get where Tomb Raider is coming from, that Tomb Raider feels that his or her degree is the same quality as Wits. I don't know if that's the case. I haven't attended either school. I know that Wits has a stronger reputation, as does Stellenbosch, when it comes to certain educational fields. So I can't speak to that. I can tell you that here in the States, about specific schools. So Lucio Caldera is just subscribed. Thank you, Lucio. Appreciate you becoming a subscriber to the channel. And let me see. What else we got here? Proud Neanderthals. So talk us through the scenario where the ANC becomes two factions, perhaps two parties. It's likely before the election next year. Is it likely? Proud Neanderthal. I don't know that that's the case. I think that ANC leadership is steeped enough in the tradition and the discipline of the party that if they were to cause the party to fracture, that they would step aside. So we saw this sort of happen before, and it's been twice it's happened with the ANC. Now, I won't count Patricia DeLille's departure from the party. That was nonsense. Nobody went with her. But 2 times people left the party, and it's led to a schism within the party, but it hasn't destroyed the ANC's stranglehold on South Africa. The first time that this happened was with Thabo Mbeki. When Thabo Mbeki was deposed at the Polokwane massacre back in the Aught decade, when Thabo Mbeki was swept out with the daily trash by his party, and then shortly after he resigned as president of South Africa, thereby proving my thesis that party over people. People don't matter in South Africa. The party is supreme in South Africa's system, and that's wrong. But anyway, so Thabo Mbeki was dumped in the Polokwane massacre, right? Okay, so Terra Lakota formed COPE with a few others, the Congress of the People, expropriating or culturally appropriating the term of the Congress of the People from back in the 1950s, which came up with the Freedom Charter and others. Anyway, which is an amalgamation of different groups. So they took the name Congress of the People. All right, and so they came up with COPE. They thought that large percentage of the ANC would go with them, but they were wrong, because the only people that went with COPE were those fellow technocrats and supporters of Thabo Mbeki, and not even all of them. So they managed to get about 8% of the vote, just under 8% of the vote, 7.5 or something like that in an election, which is it's impressive. It's good. It's better than DA did in its first few elections, but COPE is nothing anymore. It's fallen apart because it was nothing. It was based on personality, and you can't have a party based on personality. The Nazi party, based on Hitler's personality. You can't have a party based on personality. And so you have to have a party that has strength, inner strength, and has the ability to mobilize people to vote and to support its positions. Now, the ANC, I don't think even has that anymore, but that was the first time. That didn't destroy the ANC. Then, excuse me. The next time it occurred was with Joyce Malema. So Juju, malcontent, causing all kinds of problems with the ANC, as the youth leader for the ANC's Youth League, which we talk about communist structures. The ANC Youth League, Juju got booted from the party because of his comments about Zuma. So he was dumped. When he left, he took a portion of the ANC with him. All these malcontents who believe the leftist nonsense and rhetoric about nationalizing mines, kicking white people out of the country, murdering people, stealing things. They bought into that nonsense, a lot of them. Now, not everybody in the EFF bought into the murder part, I'm just saying, but there's plenty of people who believe that nonsense. So that took initially about 5% of the ANC, but that has grown with disaffected people and with some new voters who've never associated with the ANC. So twice now we've seen the ANC fracture. We've seen COPE, 7.5%, then fall off the charts, almost nothing. We've seen the EFF come out with 5-6%, and they've increased their percentage up to around 11 or 10, 11%. but they will plateau at 15%, ladies and gentlemen. That party doesn't have the possibility to go higher. That is a party based on personality. And Julius Malema is a charlatan. He's a fraud. And he says bigoted and racist things all the time and gets away with it. And his days are numbered as far as popularity in South Africa. He will plateau. So the ANC, that's happened. The ANC still exists. It still managed to get over 50% of the vote in most places. So what's going on? Well, less people are voting. That's part of it. Opposition parties do a piss poor job bringing voters into the voting rolls and getting them out voting and involved in politics. That's poor job by all opposition parties by and large. And by the way, if people want to say, well, wait a second, the Freedom Front Plus, they've greatly increased their percentage. The Freedom Front Plus increased its percentages of the vote last time in the 2019 election at the expense of the Democratic Alliance. And also a small number of people who weren't voting who came back to voting because of the threat of expropriation without compensation. That's why the Freedom Front Plus did well. Not because people believe in its policies, some, but I'm saying the main reason why the Freedom Front Plus, but it's still a minor party. The Democratic Alliance cratered. Musi Maimane's leadership of the DA was a disaster. They tried to be the ANC light. It failed, and they paid for it at the polls. People lost faith in them and trust in them. The ANC has proven that they're untrustworthy, that they're totalitarian, that they're socialist. They wish to control people in every aspect of life of theirs. And if you didn't believe it before the National Coronavirus Command Council, you can no longer deny it, ladies and gentlemen. That is the modus operandi of the African National Congress. That's what they're all about, controlling people and rewarding the cadres who are loyal to the party. What's the most important thing in the African National Congress, ladies and gentlemen? Is it governance? Is it power? Is it prestige? Is it money? All those things matter. But at the end of the day, the thing that will get you in trouble quicker than anything else in the ANC is disloyalty. You'll pay a price. Anyway, so as far as the party fracturing, there are factions within the ANC, two in particular. You've got the pro-Ramphosa faction, which I think is dissolving as the days go by because it's clear that he's clueless. And the guy is just baffled by life. He has no idea what's going on. So people are having a difficult time supporting him, who supported him in 2017 to become the president of the ANC. And then you have the Zuma faction, which is led by Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, who's the real power in South Africa right now as the head of the NCCC. And that schism is real. But I think that cooler heads, senior leaders in the party will be able to keep that party together well enough that they won't fracture into two parties. I don't think that's going to happen. When they lose the 2021 municipal elections, then it may happen. There may be a schism with the ANC. Maybe. But I don't think it's going to happen before 2021. So that's just my thoughts on that. Hopefully that illuminated where we're at. Proudly Neanderthal makes a very good point, one which I've been concerned about with, a lot of people said, this lockdown has been horrific, but there has been a positive benefit, and that is that the ANC has been exposed for what they are, and people will never vote for them. But as Proudly Neanderthal just pointed out correctly, Proudly Neanderthal's fear is that come election time in 2021, months from now, maybe a year from now, depending on when they set the date, people will have forgotten how the ANC treated them. That's why I say, ladies and gentlemen, the video footage is necessary. Not the campaign is I'm not the ANC, but the campaign saying this is what the ANC stands for. Taking away your right to buy shoes, putting businesses out, open-toe shoe bans, tobacco bans, alcohol bans, taking away things of life, starving kids in the Eastern Cape, arresting people for delivering packages. That's what the ANC is all about. Not ruling under the Constitution, making the parliament simply a non-existent body that has no impact on governance in South Africa. That is the message that opposition parties must be taking to the streets now and every single day between now and the elections in 2021, as well as putting forward what your proposals are, how you will do it. For instance, I'm not saying advocating vote for the DA, but if you live in Nelson Mandela Bay, the DA can turn to when Athol Trollop was the mayor, this is what happened. Boom, 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 boom. These things happened. And it was a success. And that was with a coalition government. Imagine in 2021, because if they don't, they will have failed in my book. Epic failure. But in 2021, the Democratic Alliance should outright capture Cape Town, Nelson Mandela Bay, Johannesburg, and Tshwane. Outright. They should have control of those councils in a majority and not need a coalition. And then they should approach other parties like COPE, the African Christian Democratic Party, the Inkatha Freedom Party, and Freedom Front Plus, and say, we would like you to serve in a coalition government with us. We'll give you this part of this government. You'll be responsible for this. We would like to work together in our effort to show that someone else can lead this country other than the ANC. And that's important because it'll show the value of coalition politics, but they won't be beholden to the coalition. So if one of the coalition partners comes up and says, well, I want this, or we want to do this, or if they catch him doing something wrong, they can say, tsek, the coalition partner goes, but the government doesn't collapse. When you have coalition governments, they're fragile, and you make unrealistic compromises which damage governance. And that's just been the history of Italian politics since the Second World War. That's been the history of British politics in some respects, definitely of Italian politics. So there you go, folks. That's critically important. Karen says, I hope you can find it sometime, a guest that can explain exactly what Bantu education is and was. I can only compare education deteriorated. I can look for a guest that wants to talk about that since people are curious about it. It's a generic term applied to the system of education that was made available to mostly black South Africans in South Africa. Yep. Let's see what else we got here. Sandman, what's that? Nicholas Milisevich says, when is it okay to call them what they are and hang them traitors? Well, the sad thing is that there's actually, and it's hard to find them these days because they're very quiet, hiding like mice between the pews in church. But there are honest, patriotic, committed members of the African National Congress who are actually out there trying to represent South Africans. Yeah, I know that sounds hilarious. Like, what am I smoking? What did they put in my Starbucks? No, there's nothing there, folks. There are actually legitimate people in the party. It's just the problem is that the party's been captured by those who want to steal, loot, and misrule. By the way, there's a Easter egg for those who missed it. I'm sure you didn't miss it, but behind me, my Springboks flag has been hanging up today. There you guys stuck that up. There you go. There you go. There you go. Come on, back. There you go. So I did put up an Easter egg for folks to see today. So there you go. There you go. So, hey, folks, thanks for tuning in. Let me run down really quickly before we shut down here. I'm not going to shut down yet, and I'm going to play Giselle on the way out just as a thank you for folks for tuning in and also for the Super Chats. Let me get to that because I really want to mention the Super Chats because I didn't do it earlier. There were a couple earlier as well. So I want to mention that. Also, new members. Let me see where we're looking at members, folks. So that's important. So when it comes to new members and Super Chats on the channel, if my page would just load. There it is, finally. It just loaded. So YouTube Studio, let me get into there. Come on, here we go. Come on, a little faster, please. People are waiting. All right, folks. Memberships. We are currently sitting at, you ready? 111 members of Chris White Africa. Wow, that's pretty cool. That's a magic number. 111, I like that. Someone do a screen capture of that bad boy. 111 members. Let me see who has joined. So we've got, today, we've got Rudy Rue, upgraded, thank you. Yako Fundamova became a member. Sasa Makovic became a member. Gareth Mason, the sports guru himself, the man who knows all things rugby, who was my guest recently on the channel. We had a live stream with Gareth. Gareth, thanks a lot for becoming a member. Catherine Piper became a member at the platoon leader level. And those are all today. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 members today and an upgrade. Thank you for that. Excuse me. Gosh, I'm all choked up about it, folks. And Super Chats. Let me give people their due on Super Chats very quickly. In the earlier stream we had earlier today, where's it at? There was. So we had Nicholas Groves gave a Super Chat. Ronaldo gave a Super Chat earlier, looking for that stripper Super Chat. Brett Sessoms gave a $10 Super Chat talking about Mozambique. Christo Hoyer was back to the channel, gave a 350 Rand and a 35 Rand Super Chat. Gareth gave a Super Chat for this stream, starting it off. Thank you for starting it off, Gareth. Then Lawrence gave a Super Chat, and Gareth H. gave a Super Chat. Guys, thanks a lot for the Super Chats. Really appreciate it. Also for the patronage of the channel, for the subscribers and memberships. Really do appreciate it. What else we got here? Nicholas says, I'm not against parties in general, but the tallest trees need to take the most wind and not fold. Ooh, that's a good one. Yako says, thanks for a great stream. Yeah, folks, it's my pleasure. So there you go. So I'm going to wrap up with Giselle. We're going to wrap up here. I'll be back tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen. If you're members, the 111 people who are members, you'll be able to chat in the stream for the Members Perk stream tomorrow at noon Eastern Standard Time, 6 p.m. in South Africa and Botswana. You'll be able to contribute. Anyone else can watch it, but only members will be able to contribute to the chat tomorrow, and we'll discuss events. That'll be the early stream tomorrow on Sunday, the 16th of August. So thanks a lot for tuning in. You've been updated on what's happening with Cyril Ramaphosa. I'll do a video talking about the changes, and we'll cover that. So thanks a lot, folks, for joining us and tuning into the channel. And if you haven't hit the like button, we got 3 dislikes now. 219 likes and 3 dislikes. Thank you so much for that, folks. Really do appreciate the audience tonight. It's been a super audience. Appreciate you guys tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the stream. And excuse me, where's it at here? I got to find Giselle. And where is she at? Come on, Giselle. That's not the one. I want Philins Mensa. There it is. Okay, so let me get Philins Mensa up here above where I'm at, and this will do it. Okay, cool beans. All right, folks, God bless, and have a lovely evening, and take care of yourselves. Good news, South Africa. You can buy smokes. You can buy booze. Have fun, but drink and smoke responsibly. And as Big Daddy Liberty says, never trust